What does success look like to you?
Success to me is financial independence and freedom and the ability to step away from work and live my life. We built the firm around having kids and spending time with our family and friends, so that is the true metric of success for us.
What's one big change you'd make to the firm right now if it were only up to you?
I think I would probably hire more people.
Oh, interesting. I may have to get into that in the joint session. Um,
Uh-huh.
all right, so I'm going to put you in charge. You have a magic wand, right? And you get to decide what the firm looks like in 15 years.
Yeah.
Describe what it looks like.
Oh man, that's let me paint you a picture. So kind of a hub and spoke model where we pop up offices around teams that are supported by our brand and technology, along with guidance from the central office. So I imagine that would be tied to specific practice areas and niches more so than geographic regions, and the network would be a somewhat like loose large law firm association, right? So you still have the resources of being able to call on a colleague, but without all of the the ick factor that comes from a large law firm.
Is there a certain size that you want to get to?
Oh, I mean, so the driving force, like everyone goes to law school because they want to do something more than just make money. I think there's lots of better ways to make money than being a lawyer. Yeah, I would like to move the needle on the justice gap. So whatever size that is to like change something about the practice of law, that means that more people get access to legal services. I think that's the size I need to hit. And that might be it might not be about the size of the firm. It might be about the impact we can have with our processes.
All right. Who's the boss of the firm?
Me. I'm pretty sure she'll agree, but we'll see.
We'll see. We're going to find out very soon.
Mhm.
How did the idea of the two of you working together first come up?
Yeah, so this was pre-COVID. I had launched the firm right out of law school, which was always the goal, much to the chagrin of my administration. My wife, Maggie, was really supportive of this plan from the get-go. And then one day she came home from her in-house job and she saw me in my pajamas watching Netflix while I worked on a client matter. And she was like, I want to do that too. And so the firm was growing at a rapid clip, and it was a viable option for us. And so she put in her notice, and she joined the firm officially on April 1st of 2020.
Okay. What was she doing before?
So she was in-house for a real estate development company here in town. We're based in Austin, Texas.
Very good. I went off script a little bit, but that's fine. Some of these I want to follow up on some of these because
Yeah, go for it.
this is such a different format for me where like I want to do a bunch of follow up and with the limited time I can't. So I'll
Yeah,
sneak in one when I
channel
can.
your inner Steve Harvey.
That's right. Okay, so from a business standpoint, what's one thing you wish Maggie would stop doing?
I think I hesitate to say this because I think we actually have a really good working dynamic where I like doing some stuff and she doesn't like it, and vice versa. Um, but I wish she had a bigger appetite for risk in the firm. So
Okay.
a little less cautious, I would say.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, like she's got that lawyer personality of like wanting to know the answer to things, right? Like she has to know everything cold before she'll take a step, versus taking a leap of faith. So, for example, bringing on our first attorney, took a really long time. Bringing on our first VA took a really long time. And I think if I had had my way, we would have taken that leap a little faster.
Okay. Yeah, that's something maybe we'll want to discuss in a little bit.
Uh,
Describe Maggie's work style in one word.
Methodical.
Now, explain what you mean by that.
So it's very much a process and a very thorough one. So she'll identify an issue, she'll think through the entirety of the issue, and then attack each piece of it piecemeal. So whether that's, drafting some documents for a client or entering a negotiation, she uh she will walk through A to Z everything that's gonna happen in her head before she sits down and does the work, and then she walks through each and every step.
Sounds like a good thing. That's good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for practicing law.
Has that caused any issues though with her being so methodical?
It did initially. So when she first came on board, we tried to do everything 50-50, right? Like, so client intake and legal work, and tried to split it to make it feel like we were more of a team. And then we sort of learned a lesson that, the stuff I hate is the stuff she loves, including, some to some extent the practice of law. Like, I like the really intricate questions of like technology law, and I'm happy to do all that stuff there. But in terms of like running a business or doing like rote legal work, um, I don't I don't like it as much. So when she brings that methodical approach, it's to the stuff that she is more excited to do. And so, yeah, initially it was a problem, but like we sort of sorted that out after about a year or two of like dabbling in each other's lanes. And so I would say we're at a pretty good balance at this point.
What's one way you and Maggie butt heads at work?
I think it's the primary way is about how much time we spend working. So there's like a mutual respect for like, hey, we need to get stuff done, but also, like I said earlier, the whole point of building the firm was so we could have time for family and life and things around us. But when you're the owner of a firm, the buck stops with you. And I think I have a harder time stepping away from work sometimes, and I think that's probably the biggest uh, point of contention that we currently have.
Gotcha. What's the biggest business decision that the two of you have disagreed on, and how did it play out in the end?
It was the hiring question. So hiring our first attorney, there was a lot. So there was a lot of pushback initially, like, hey, we don't have enough of a revenue stream to like justify this. Like, it's scary to like give up some of your revenue to like pay somebody. And my pushback was like, well, we don't have the time to like go and do other stuff if we're like just only doing the legal work. And so this was a while ago now, but that was a long dispute. And eventually we brought somebody on. Um, and I think there were some things that I was wrong about. So like we were trying to be like even-handed about how we compensate our attorneys, and I think I was too even-handed with our first hire or two, and it was not really a sustainable financial arrangement. So ultimately, we brought someone on, but there were some hiccups along the way that I think were the things Maggie was afraid of.
Fair. What are the rules about talking about work at home or during non-work hours?
Yeah, so this has become less of an issue only because we have three toddlers. So it's like that time is like so limited already that it just we have to get all of our conversations in at once. But it was an issue where we would go out on dates, and like I realized, oh, if I bring my phone, I tend to like get wrapped up in work stuff. So I started leaving my phone in the center console of the car. That way, like I could be like fully present. And there was a little bit of that on her side as well, depending on like how involved she is in a particular problem. But yeah, like I said, with the toddlers, it's been less of an issue. It's more of like all hands on deck at all times right now. So those rules have sort of relaxed a little bit.
When the rules were not relaxed, who broke the rules the most?
Certainly me. Certainly me. I did my best, but habits are hard to break. So I think I did an okay job, but yeah, if anyone broke the rules, it was probably me.
All right, so now we're going to get into a sticky one.
Okay.
Tell me about a time you had a fight at home that affected your day at the office or vice versa.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so there was one how long ago? This must have been like a year or two ago. And we were talking about revenue. And Maggie said something that I thought was unfair. Like she feels like we should be bringing in a lot more revenue to be running our own firm. And the way she communicated it was like it to me it sounded like, "Hey, you're failing," which we like talked it out, and that was not really where things landed. But yeah, that took the wind out of my sails for sure. For a couple of days I was like, oh man, like I need to go do something else, like I need to close up shop. But yeah, we sort of worked through it, and we landed on like, no, we've kind of to some extent succeeded at what we set out to do.
Are are the arguments bigger from work, or are the home arguments bigger?
We're pretty good about our I think we're like pretty good about having these discussions. I would say the home arguments tend to be the bigger ones. So we actually, like I said, we kind of are into doing different pieces of work. So I am more than happy to let her take over, various aspects of the practice. And same with her, the things that I like to do, she wants nothing to do with, which makes for a lot less headbutting. At home is more often where it's going to come up.
How would you describe Maggie's leadership style, and what would you tweak about it?
So she's she's got like a very traditional middle management leadership style. Like she knows how to keep processes running, how to stay on top of people. Um, I don't know that I would change anything, and not because like she's necessarily like perfect at what she's doing, but it's more that she brings a different style than I do, and I think that's important. So like we work with startup founders all the time, and like most often the reason that they fail is they have blind spots about stuff. Like that's a bunch of founders that all do the same kind of thing. And I don't have a sense for like I don't see what she brings to the table as a negative. I see it as like a thing that I don't have my head around quite as much. So so if I were to say like she should change anything, I wouldn't know what to point out.
Okay, that's a good answer, especially since this is recorded, so that's nice. Where do you think Maggie thrives in the business?
She's an excellent communicator. She's really good at delivering bad news well. Um, I think she's very clear-sighted as well. She doesn't get distracted very easily, so whatever the task is at hand, she finds a way to get it done. Um, I think people like working with her. Like I think she has a good communication style with our attorneys. She's good at communicating what needs to change, what needs to be done better. Um, and for me, like I think I get more heated, and so like I think like deferring to her on those things is like our best option. And so that's one of her strengths.
Do you think that in her current role, she spends enough time doing what she thrives at the most?
Yes, I would say maybe even too much. Like I would like to see her this is not like about leadership or anything, but I would like to see her step more into a business development role alongside with me. I think she sees herself as not being good or capable in that position, but I don't know. I just disagree with her, but it's like a leap she hasn't been willing to take.
What's something running a law firm with Maggie has taught you about your marriage?
I think it's that thing of, we have different strengths and like leaning into that is a good thing. Like there are certain things that, she's better at and certain things I'm better at and it's okay, right? Like it's sort of I think it's been actually, thankfully a good thing for our marriage to work together. Which I know is normally not the case. It's like often leads to butting of heads or you hear stories about people who like just they can't stand to see each other at the end of the day because they're working together, but yeah, we don't feel that way, and I think part of that is recognizing like, oh, it's okay for one of us to care about and take on the responsibility of a particular thing, and not have to have the other person equally contribute to it. Like that's okay, and I think that's been healthy.
What's one thing you wish that Maggie really understood about how you operate?
The technology side of things. So I am a very tech heavy lawyer. I have a background in computer science and like it's my whole thing. I go on like speaking circuits, like talking about how AI works and like demystifying it and talking about, privacy and security and all of those things. And Maggie is an absolute Luddite. So she just her eyes glaze over. I have learned not to have these conversations with her. She's very polite about it, but like I've given up. Like if she can't figure out how to open an app on her phone, I know I'm tech support, and like I just have to be okay with that. But yeah, that is the one thing I wish she took a little bit more of an interest in is like figuring out the tech or coming along on some of that journey with me.
I love it. All right, we did it. We made it within the 20-minute marks. That's fantastic. All right, now you're going to
Cool.
switch with Maggie. So
All right.
you get Maggie on and you go into the other room and we'll bring you back together in a little bit. Thanks,
All
Alex.
right, you got it. Yeah, thank you.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. First question is, what does success look like to you?
Um, so if I think for me personally, success looks like engagement, right? Like being engaged with your life and feeling interested in what you're doing. Like I think that's really important to me. I don't ever want to feel like I'm just on rails, not like excited about what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I like it. What's one big change you'd make to the firm right now if it were only up to you?
So I think for me, one thing that I would change is so how do I explain this? So I think we're very tech focused as a firm, and I think that's a big strength of ours. I think something that Alex brings to the table that a lot of attorneys don't. One thing I worry about, and I think this is just sort of pervasive in our society, but how do you keep the same level of like personal engagement with clients when you're relying so much on tech? And one way I see of kind of getting around that and maintaining really good relationships is being a firm that's not just law, but also takes a broader perspective on things. So, for instance, I know there are like consulting groups out there that are run by lawyers that kind of consult on other aspects of the business as well as on strictly legal issues. And I think that would be a really cool value add for us if we could almost pick an industry and really build out expertise in that industry and be able to come alongside folks as counselors beyond just strictly legal issues.
Got it. I like that. All right, so I'm gonna give you a magic wand, and you get to decide what the firm looks like in 15 years. Describe what it looks like.
Oh man. I think what I sort of imagine is kind of along the same lines of what I was just saying, but with a bunch of different industries, right? So, for example, if we started off in like the tech startups, we would have kind of a hub that is, you know, from A to Z what every tech startup needs. You'd have your financial counselors, you'd have your part-time CFOs, you'd have your lawyers, you'd have marketing folks, basically like a one-stop shop for somebody who's trying to spin up a company. And then you'd also have that in other industries. So maybe like a healthcare one or government. Like I would love to be, yeah, I guess maybe it's over ambitious, but I would love to um, have that expertise built out in a bunch of different areas, um, and feel like what we offer to clients is kind of someone who's walking alongside them and helping them figure out what they need to do, in a comprehensive kind of holistic way. And I would also really love to see um, the like really positive and ongoing relationships with our clients beyond just individual transactions, right? As opposed to them just coming to us for a contract, it's an ongoing conversation and relationship.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna transition into roles and power dynamics a little bit.
Sounds
Who's
scary.
the boss of the firm?
Alex, for sure. I think in large part because um, really, I think starting the firm was more his vision than mine, although I've always, tried to be as supportive as I can. Um, I still defer to him on most of the high level kind of strategic questions.
What do you think he said?
I think he said him as well.
Okay. Uh, Next question. How did the idea of the two of you working together first come up?
Um, I think I was looking for more flexibility. I was working in-house at a company. He was trying to build the firm, right out of school, right out of law school. And oh yeah, I was having some dissatisfaction at work generally. So I was looking for a change. And we both kind of floated like, what if I just joined the firm for a while to like help and like figure out next steps, and then I guess the rest is history.
Nice. What's one thing you wish Alex would stop doing in the business?
Oh goodness. I don't think he's doing anything that I would want him to stop, but I think he is a person who is full of ideas, and I think that can sometimes come at the expense of focus. So I think if he were able to, take the 20 things that he's really excited about and somehow just forget about 15 of them, I think we'd be able to make more progress on the five that remain.
Sort of like that shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's like
Yeah.
it's all great, but it's like we only have limited time, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I think he has trouble like culling those things and like making that list shorter. But it's also, what makes him him. So I sort of love it about him too. It's hard.
Describe Alex's work style in one word.
Creative.
Okay, explain what you mean.
Um, his work style is all about like bursts. Like he has like a burst of energy because he's inspired by something. He gets it done. Then he is like kind of maybe doing something else and then gets another burst of inspiration and jumps to that other thing to work on it. So it's just, yeah, it's not like one thing can like you could never write down like here's what Alex is going to be doing from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's because it's going to change. Like there's no way that he's going to stick to that schedule.
What's one way you and Alex butt heads at work?
um I think I'm more risk averse. So I think when it comes to making decisions about the firm, uh I guess the most negative way to put it is that, he can feel like I'm just criticizing anything that he decides to do. Really for me, it's like, yeah, I'm just risk averse. So I ask all of the questions like, what's the worst that could go wrong? Like, usually that's how we move forward, right? Is like we get to what's the absolute worst that could happen, and I get comfortable with that, and then we can kind of move forward. But yeah, so like when it came to like hiring people or I guess that was like the biggest one was like when we first started hiring folks. I was kind of dragging my feet about that. Yeah,
Well,
I think
since
that's
you're
the
on the next question is actually, what's the biggest business decision you've disagreed on, and how did it play out?
Yeah, I think it was hiring folks. I I there's no I'm very much like a give me a recipe and I'll do the recipe, right? Like I want to know like what is the exact amount of revenue that I should be making before I bring on, a person to help. And obviously there's no perfect answer to that. And Alex's thought was, let's bring on someone sooner so I can spend more time on business development. We can really like push things when it comes to growth. And I'm over here like I do more of our home finances as well. So I'm over here like, no, we can't give away that money. I need that money. I need that money to pay for X, Y, and Z. So that was really the biggest one. And I think what it ultimately came down to was a little bit of a leap of faith on my part, because I want I want Alex to feel like he is putting everything he can into this business because it's his dream, right? And I don't want like 15 years down the road, whatever happens with the business, I don't want to feel like he didn't give it his best shot.
Nice. What are the rules about talking about work at home or during non-working hours?
Oh, yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I feel like that's not so much something that comes up anymore. It used to a lot because it would feel like we were always talking about work. Like it would be the default thing on our minds. Um, Now I think with the kids and everything, like it's so the short answer is there is no rule. Um, like it all just gets talked about all at once. I think honestly what has suffered is like talk of anything other than work or kids. Like I think that's most of our conversations are work or kids or politics, frankly. Which is like which is maybe most relaxing of the three because we're not going to disagree. We're just going to vent to each other. Um, but yeah, there is no rule. Maybe there should be, but there's not at the moment.
Were there ever rules?
Yes. So it used to be that this was kind of pre-kids, but it used to be that we would set aside particular times for work because I was feeling, I think Alex maybe felt a little less this way, but I was feeling like I don't just want to talk about work. Like I want to make sure we're talking about other things in our relationship. And I want to make sure that we're like cultivating our personal relationship and not just our professional one.
Who broke the rules the most?
Alex, definitely. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Tell me about a time you had a fight at home that affected your day at the office or vice versa.
Oh, goodness. Um, a fight at home. So our fights are not like they usually involve a lot of silence on my part. So I'm trying to think of like a particular fight because it's not like we fight that much. But when we do, it's just an awkward couple of days, you know. Uh, um, yeah, I can't think of like a particular fight. But what ultimately happens if it does affect our work day is that we just don't talk much that day, right? Like we talk to the kids, we do what we need to do for work, but we just don't talk much to each other about anything else.
Yeah. I think that's pretty standard. I think that's a normal response. How would you describe Alex's leadership style and what would you tweak about it?
Um, I think he's very hands off. Like he gives the folks who work for him a lot of autonomy and respect, and I think they really appreciate that. Um, and then he's one thing he's really, really good at is being purposeful about pouring into folks. So he's always, making sure that people have what they need to succeed. He's offering things, like offering to help them, network, or, I think he really goes out of his way to build people up, I think, and I think it's a big strength of his as a leader. Um, in terms of what I would tweak, I don't know that I would tweak any of that. I mean, I think in any organization you need folks like that, and then you need folks who are like doing the more boring, like looking over people's shoulder, making sure quality standards are being met. And like I think I kind of serve that role at our firm. And I think I wouldn't want to change what Alex is doing at all.
Where do you think Alex thrives in the business?
He he thrives on building things. So he gets bored with the day to day, I think. And that kind of takes, you can kind of see it take the wind out of his sails a little bit. But he really comes alive and gets inspired when he's building out something new, whether that be a new tech tool for the firm, or whether he's working on curating a program he runs the South by Southwest legal track every year, and he builds out all of the programming for that. He's very creative. I think he thrives when there's something to be built.
Do you think that that's where building things? Do you think that's where he spends most of his time in the firm?
I think that's where he'd like to spend most of his time. I think it's probably a split between that and more of the day-to-day stuff. It's probably 50-50. I think he does manage to put a lot of time into the stuff that he cares about. Um, I think he's stubborn like that in a good way.
Do you think he should be spending more time, less doing, more time or less time building?
I think he should be spending the same amount of time building, less time on the other stuff that he does, like the administrative and the intake, and he should replace that other like 50% with marketing and like networking stuff.
Interesting. What's something running a law firm with Alex has taught you about your marriage?
Oh, um, I think it's taught me that there is a lot of mutual respect in our marriage. And it's hard, it's something to fall back on and rely on when other things aren't working.
Very good. You made it to the last question.
Okay.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
What is one thing you wish Alex really understood about how you operate?
I think he understands me pretty well. I think there are times, I think I've mentioned this already, where it can feel like I'm criticizing and really I'm just trying to understand. Like it's almost like I'm building a model in my head of like what's happening, and I really want every piece of it, right? So a conversation with me might go, "Hey, I have this idea. Well, what about this? What about this? What about that? What about that?" It's like not because I'm criticizing the idea, but because I'm trying to fully understand the idea. And the problem is that sometimes the idea is only in its early stages of being built, and so there aren't answers. So I think I'm always hoping that he understands, and also trying to change my tone a little, but hoping that he understands that that's interest, not critique.
Excellent. All right. Go get Alex, please,
Okay.
and then let's bring both of you on the same time. We'll kind of go through what you all had to say. So the way you described success was really interesting. So Maggie, you focused more on engagement, like being engaged in your life, and then Alex, you were talking about financial independence and freedom, which I think in a way are the same thing. You just took different approaches at it. I guess the question I have for you all though, it is this the first time you all have sat down and talked about this, or is this something that you've talked about in the past?
Well, we've talked about it a lot. Like,
About what success looks like? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when I think I mentioned this, but when I talk about financial independence, it's really the freedom to like spend time with family and everything, which for me is like the priority. So I can see why she might say like being engaged in her life, and like I think you're right that it's about the same.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before, and it's, I think we share a lot of the same priorities when it comes to work versus, life outside of work.
Yeah. And it definitely seemed like both of you are like, you want to be engaged with your families and with each other. And I think I think that's pretty awesome. Um, the big change. I, so Maggie, what do you think Alex said? What do you think the big change that he thought you all should make in the firm?
I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe, no, I don't know. What did she say?
You don't have any. I want to hear your
The
guess.
only thing I could think is that, like, maybe doing things faster. I don't know.
That came up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that did come up. Hire more people. Is what Alex said. Alex, what do you think Maggie said?
Oh, that is a tough one. What does Maggie think we should do? What we should change in the firm?
We've talked about it, but it was a fleeting moment in time that we talked about it because I had to do it and then I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to make that effort to do.
Oh, do litigation? What?
So
Do you
it
want me
was
to?
more of a more personal engagement with clients. And if I miss, by the way, if I misstate either one of you, just correct me. Or if you want to clarify, then that. But it was really less of a tech focus and more of like more of a personal focus with clients. Is that a fair way of putting it?
And also the like holistic service thing. So
Yeah.
legal services. Because
Yeah.
I think you and I both like really shine. Like I know I'm the more traditional lawyer, but like also we both are like very like interdisciplinary people.
Mhm.
And I think that the firm could do really well as something like more than a law firm, like a consulting
Yeah.
enterprise.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think we have talked about that, and like the execution is kind of
It's
the
hard to
problem
know.
because
Yeah.
like it's taking on a whole nother facet of like presenting yourself to people and trying not to like make it too messy.
And it involves hiring people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was something I was going to get to because I think you both acknowledged that Maggie, you had a resistance to hiring, but I think it's funny because you want more of that personal engagement with clients, and you have you both have these grand ideas and everything, but it's going to require people. It sounds like, and so I guess Maggie, what will it take for you to get over that hump to want to hire more people?
I think I mean, like to be really frank, I think it's about being willing to leverage the firm. Like I think it's actually about being willing to take out business debt, honestly.
Okay.
Because we're already in personal debt. So. I don't know. That's honestly, I think for me, it's a financial issue.
So one of the individual questions that because we had lots of questions that we wanted to ask, but with limited time, we had to kind of like really narrow it down. I was getting rid of really good questions that I thought, one of the question I wanted to ask, and I can do it, I can ask it in the joint session is, do you all think you pay yourselves enough money?
I think I would say now we do. I think up for the past year or so, or like the previous year or so, we had not been. And that was a function of like how we had done our hiring and like how we had sort of structured compensation for our team. Now I actually feel really solid about how we compensate ourselves.
Yeah, and I would say that, everyone would always love to make more money, right? Like you could always use more money. But I feel that given what we're trying to build, we pay ourselves an appropriate amount.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
one of the things that we have talked about is like since we're like somewhat debt averse, we've taken on the perspective of like, okay, well, I guess that means we have to take some pay cuts here and there to avoid the debt in order to make things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good fiscal decision, to be honest with you. So that's
We'll
good.
see. I'll get back to you in 30 years.
Yeah,
How it
no
all
kidding.
went.
So when it comes to like what the firm looks like in 15 years, and I found the answers similar but different, and I I want to kind of try to find a way to kind of bridge the gap because, Alex, you had more like these, pop-up offices. And I don't know if that's the phrase you used or if that's one
Hub
that
and spoke.
hub and spoke,
Oh, yeah.
right? Where, you have these affiliations, it may have been the word that you used with these other, I don't know if they're other entities, other firms or whatever. But Maggie, your approach was, it sounded similar, but you wanted to be in multiple industries. And so help me sort of reconcile that. Is this something you all are on the same page on? This something you discussed, or are these two separate visions for what you want the firm to be?
I think they are different visions, but I think we're at the point where both of us are open to either, right? It's like a matter of like how are things going to play out.
For different industries, are you talking about different practice areas?
Yeah, well, kind of like in line with the whole like consulting thing.
Yeah.
Having like healthcare consulting and tech startup consulting and whatever else, like,
Yeah, I think it's similar. It's like what the final landing place will be is like what is different. It's like the same structure where we sort of have this expansive sort of like fractal nature, and where I sort of see what I anticipate being the best path forward is different niches of practice area that then can lean on each other. But I could also see, we have discussed this a little bit, different types of approaches to industry. So like you said, the interdisciplinary thing. I think that's fair.
But yeah, I think they are two separate landing places. And I think it's sort of an open question which one
we're facing
for.
we're facing a couple of different open questions. So I think one of the biggest ones is like what the next phase of growth looks like. So the first problem we solved was like when you get those influxes of growth and like it sort of grinds everything to a halt. You don't expect it to be a problem, but it is. And I think we've sort of solved that. And so now we're like, okay, well, we have this approach that works. Now what direction do we like take that in? And so, yeah, I think we're not quite settled on what it will be.
Sounds like a good discussion for the two of you after this.
Yeah. We're going to go
good.
have lunch after and debrief.
Well, I think one of the cool things about this is it does get some of those conversations started that I think should be fun for you all. And although I wanted to make some of this entertaining, I think that's why I asked some of the questions I did. I also think like the idea of like benefiting you all by kind of having these conversations, I think it should be pretty helpful. I hope so at least. But both of you said that Alex is the boss of the firm. A question I have for you, Maggie, is do you ever struggle with that?
I guess the answer must be yes. Is that possible? Yeah, I think for me it feels like a decision to let Alex be the boss of the firm. Like I think that is the best decision for us as a couple and for the firm as a whole. And so it means though that I do take a little bit less ownership of like some of the things like branding, for instance, right? Like if I were doing branding, it would look different than like what we have for the firm. And that plays into things like I know like you probably brought up that you want me to do more business development, right?
I did
like,
bring up
so but it's like it's kind of hard, right? When it doesn't feel as authentic to me, right? So it feels harder or less authentic or something for me to like go. So that's something I think we have to sort of figure out a little bit.
I think that's like part of what's going on with the tech focus and the less personal touch is honestly like a lot of the business development I think comes about because of like personal brand, right? Like people in town know me and like they know I'm like the tech guy. And so trying to like divorce the business from me as a person, I think lends itself to other people just stepping in and making it what they want. Like going in and being like, I'm an attorney with this firm and I'm bringing me to this conversation to develop you as a client and I will be working with you in this way. And it not necessarily coming back and being suddenly like the Alex show, which I think is not scalable.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think that Alex, that maybe adopting some more of Maggie's ideas might help it more of a joint venture as opposed to just being the Alex show?
Yeah. So I will say, like, for as much as I am the boss, like, I really do respect Maggie's opinion, and everything I decide, like, almost without exception, I run by her and I get her take and I get her feedback. There are some things though, where like I will seek feedback, and sometimes you'll even like say like, I think you should decide because this would be totally different than what I would do. And like there's probably some room there for like figuring out how to like actually just bring you into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've talked about like perhaps, I mean, this has been sort of like fleeting discussions, but me stepping away from the firm temporarily to let it breathe and like have Maggie fully at the helm to let it mature, and then like I can come back at a certain point and we can figure out what worked and what didn't, and continue forward from there. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think a lot of it is life circumstance too. Like I don't see what's happening as like Alex holding on to the firm and not letting it's if anything it's the opposite. Like Alex is like, come, help with the firm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's use your ideas. And I'm more like, well, no, let's let it be your thing.
Mhm.
You know, so it's an ongoing
Mhm.
thing.
I do wonder what you all think the firm would look like if Maggie ran the firm.
I think I think some of what I've like I don't know what it would be, but some of the BS would fall away. Like I'm the kind of guy that will like spin a lot of plates and get things going, and then like certain things work and certain things don't, and like I eventually cut the things that don't. But I think Maggie would be quicker to identify some of those. I think she would also tighten up a lot of things. Like I think she would probably spot some gaps that I am like not as capable of identifying, like particularly in managing people. I think that would be a really good thing for the firm. Um, yeah, I'm sure there would be some things where I'd be like, hey, we should be taking a little bit more risk here, but
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a bad thing. Like I think like the business should be something that can stand on its own 2 feet, and if like me stepping away kills it, then I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah. Maggie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. I mean, I think there'd be less, I mean, just because of who we are, like there'd be less of a focus on the tech stuff, like the internal tech tools, I mean, like how we run things. Obviously I'd have to get up to speed on more of
Yeah.
it, but yeah, I think we definitely have a different approach. Yeah.
It's very clear that you will have a very good working relationship, or at least it seems to, and that's I think it's awesome.
We did it.
Some things that came up was the risk. It sounds like Alex more of a risk taker, Maggie less of a risk taker, which is I think that's a sort of a normal thing. I know that Alex, you were you want you would like for Maggie to be a bigger risk taker. I think that was one of the things. Be a little less cautious. Maggie, you said that you kind of wanted Alex to kind of narrow his focus down a little bit. He's got so many great ideas to maybe focus on, 5 of those ideas as opposed to, all 20 of them at a time. I think that's
Yeah, I told him
that's pretty
you
good.
drop 50 of your 20 ideas.
Oh,
You can make more
yeah.
progress on 5.
Yeah, but I can't. It's how I learn.
I know. No.
It-
And I
it-
said that too. I said it's what makes you you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's even possible.
Yeah.
But it's sound advice, though. I think it's sound advice.
Mhm.
This is something. So, and I think that Alex knows this because you hinted at this. And it's Maggie, your approach to and I don't know if maybe if a new idea comes up or something like that, but whenever you give feedback, it seems that your approach, you kind of want Alex to understand your position, like, and that you're not criticizing. You just need more information. So I kind of want to give you an opportunity, Maggie, to kind of talk to Alex and tell him like, kind of like when you're approaching something that it comes from a good place. And I think Alex knows, he kind of mentioned that. So you want to talk about that a little bit, how you're not doing it because you don't like the idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about this before, but yeah, when Alex has an idea, I tend to want I want to be able to write a textbook on the idea,
Mhm.
right? And so I want to know all of like everything about how it's going to work. And so my initial start is, or like the way that I react is questions, right? Like that is like my first response is like questions that can sometimes come across to you as attacks, and attempts to kind of like undermine.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's like also a day-to-day thing, right? It's like if my cup runneth over, like then I'm more likely to feel attacked.
Oh, if you're like
You
really
know,
busy,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I
He
know.
knows it. He knows it in his head. It just
She
doesn't always
she
make it to
finished
his
she
head.
finished law school with a dual degree, and like the day after she was like, maybe I'll go get a PhD, and I was like, you just spent most your entire life in school, and
I would love to be a
your
PhD
first
program.
instinct is to go get a PhD, and like,
I just want to think about things and tear them
yeah,
apart.
yeah.
I
I
love it.
am death.
So the last question I have for you all, I'm going to give both of you the opportunity on this one. So either one of you can go first, but what's one thing that is amazing about the other one that you'll never be able to match? So this is, you get to talk up the other one. So whoever wants to go first, but so Alex, what's one thing? Yeah. Yeah. Say that again, Maggie.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's a good idea to end with this question in case you've really created a lot of friction.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, but if we had more time, I'd ask you a lot more about this stuff because I did want to kind of give you all a chance to kind of like really kind of talk each other up too. I think that should be a building moment, not something that does, tear each other down. But so what is one of you, whoever wants to go first, what's one thing that's amazing about the other that you don't think you'll ever be able to match?
Okay.
I think Alex's appreciation for possibility is something I will never match. Like even in just the day-to-day stuff, I'll feel like, there are only two options to solve a problem. And I'll talk about it with Alex and he'll be like, wait, but what about this or that? And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Like he makes me feel like there's a lot of, like, there are a lot of choices in a good way. And I'm not so constrained, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alex?
For me, one of the things that I've always appreciated about Maggie is how like just brilliant she is. She's like so smart. She is so good at like capturing complex ideas and like boiling them down, and then she's like an excellent communicator as well. Even when we're like having difficult discussions like about what's going on internally, like I feel like you do a good job of being fairly like very clear, and like it's like you reach across the aisle somehow with how you communicate to like invite people in. And that's like both professionally and personally. And like especially like when we're hanging out with our friend groups, like I often get a chance to appreciate how she's able to like navigate conversations so well, and like, sort of she connects people, and I love that about her.
That's awesome. Really good. Well, thank you both for doing this and being open and sharing and taking this
It was a
risk
lot
with
of
me.
fun.
So really appreciate it.
Yeah, I liked
We
it.
can't afford therapy, so this is good.
Well, I may have really messed you all up because I have no training. So you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Well, thank you both for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyson.